Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about, is there possibility for reconciliation? We always wonder that. We always wonder about our situation. Can we turn this around? Can we fix it? A lot of times it feels unrepairable. Our ex is cold, they're not showing us any interest, and we feel like it's going to last like that forever.
Exactly.
But in time, ex's feelings often do change and they do see things differently. So you really want to focus on that personal growth while you're in no contact because you want to blow them away. Okay? Even if you were neglectful in the relationship or feel like you took them for granted, a lot of times those people are going to be looking very carefully if you've grown. Right? So today we got an email coaching from a woman in her late 20s who was with a guy in his mid-30s, and they were together for about 7 years.
Wow.
It's a long time. Okay? I think you guys are going to like this one. Let's see what happened here. She said, "We were each other's longest and most committed, deep, loving relationship. This was our first experience living with a partner. Over the course of our relationship, there were issues on my end I had not dealt with. He had doubts in the past due to my emotional issues and anger issues and excessive drinking." So we got some serious stuff right up front. Anger, emotional issues, and excessive drinking.
And I'm sure those are all connected. I'm glad that she is insightful about that because for certain people who do have substance issues, it can be hard to say that it's excessive. So it sounds like she's self-aware to a degree.
Yeah, and so that's good that she's actually seeing this now. But you can imagine he was with her for years. How long was he feeling tired and exhausted by that behavior? He asked me to go to counseling to work through those issues. Over the years, I made efforts to change, but never went to counseling. So that would have made him angry.
Yeah.
Because he's thinking, I'm having to deal with all these issues, and she won't get help.
Right. And it could also be that she's self-aware now after the relationship ended.
Yeah. But you have to be able to understand where he's coming from, too. I now realize that I did not change as much as I should have, and those issues still lingered on our relationship. After his doubts, he assured me he would never leave the relationship. He believed in us and where the relationship was going. Well, at the time, he may have been thinking things are getting a little bit better. She's working on some of her issues here, and I'm never going to leave this person. But, I mean, people get married and say, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you, and then 2 years later, they're divorced.
Right.
So when people say things like that, I think they mean it in the moment, but what does that really mean?
Right. And none of us can tell the future. Of course, we all make promises at some point that we reconsider. And so it sounded like there was a sense of security. Okay, this person's not going to leave me. He's going to be more patient with my behavior. And so there's less urgency there to really work on yourself. If he had said, hey, this is something that I'm considering leaving you for, I'm sure her anxiety would have skyrocketed and might have motivated her to make changes.
That's a big point.
Quicker. Not saying that you should pull that on
Yeah.
anybody. Not saying that you should pull an ultimatum,
Yeah.
but just to be realistic about the situation, that people do have limits.
Yeah. And I think that's a big factor with a lot of situations. We think that person's never going to leave us. They had such a high interest in us for such a long time that they always will. That's not the way it works. Don't take people for granted. That's why we say, always be their best option. Okay? Okay, so last August, they got engaged. I now realize he was making efforts during our engagement to have a healthier lifestyle and was trying to connect us, but I was oblivious to his efforts. We broke up in June of 22 twice. So imagine, for a year, it sounds like this guy was really trying to make it work. And she was oblivious to what was going on, whatever effort he was making. Maybe she was caught up in work or whatever she thought was important.
Right.
But he probably was getting tired.
And it sounded like he wanted to improve himself.
Yeah.
And so what we do find happening in couples that grow apart is often that one couple wants to improve themselves, the other couple is stuck with that homeostasis, with the familiarity of how things are going, and are resistant to the change.
Absolutely. Okay. She says, we were bickering a lot leading up to our breakup, and he began being impatient with me. He said that we were having the same issues and that there was a lack of intimacy. We became complacent and acted like roommates. He felt it would be best to end things now than later down the road. So he probably was just thinking, this hasn't gotten any better. I've been making a real effort for a year now, and we're not intimate. Why are we going to get married and go through with this engagement when things aren't so great now?
And what's sad to me about this is that he's asking for more connection. I imagine that if she did have a drinking issue, that causes her to not really be herself. And so he's missing out on parts of her that he could be enjoying, that they could be enjoying together. And so it doesn't sound like this is the way he wanted things to go, that he wanted to separate from her. It sounded like he wanted to separate from the issues that were interfering with their bond.
Yeah, I agree. I got emotional and begged for him to give us a second chance. He got emotional and eventually caved. Then, 2 weeks later, I noticed he was becoming distant with me, so my response was to push and ask him what was going on. It eventually ended with him breaking it off with me, and he became cold and stuck to his decision this time. Well, he caved the first time, but he didn't really want to. So now he's mad, and he's like, nope, I'm sticking with it this time. I was shocked over how someone could ask for my hand in marriage, move into a new apartment, and then want to end things with me all in 10 months. Well, I don't think it's that shocking.
I think he was also shocked as to how somebody could say over and over again that I'm working on this and then not really have those changes.
And not going to therapy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that she would be shocked. I mean, especially when you saw that he had been making an effort for almost a year and you hadn't.
Yeah.
According to at least what she's saying here. After the second breakup in June, he gave me a 6-page handwritten letter. In the words, he wrote about how incredible our love story was, about our many experiences, and that we were lucky to have experienced a love like ours. Well, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. He cared about her a lot. It's very clear.
Yep, I agree. That I was and would always be a significant part of his life. Then he apologized for how things ended. Then he finally wrote his reasons for breaking us up. He felt as though we were growing apart. He felt he was trying to change who I was and that we weren't working towards a marriage. He felt unhappy that working on our relationship felt like a big task and he no longer saw a future together and that his love was fading. Everything feels authentic.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he's BSing her or anything like that, right?
Right.
He said he knows it was an aggressive decision, but it felt it was the right decision. He had mentioned this not being easy for him, missing me, us, and our partnership since the breakup, but is sticking to his decision, and even asked for the ring back.
Wow.
Ouch. I've since moved out and haven't talked to him in over a month. I've started seeing a therapist and quit drinking since the breakup. Oh, wow, so she still was drinking up until the breakup.
Yeah.
Right? Is there a possibility for reconciliation with my fiancé, or is this a lost cause? I'm hoping to get a plan in place for my situation. I feel hopeless, though, as I took our relationship for granted. Well, you know she's going to be beating herself up here because it sounds like he was being very proactive in trying to repair this like an adult.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to sting. And I would tell you that it would be really important to show a lot of empathy and compassion for him. And not sitting there trying to say how you've changed and how you're different and this and that. No, I would try and show him that you're completely understanding of why he got frustrated and tired, and you don't blame him.
And in situations like these, slow and steady really does win the race. At this point, it's been years and years, and he's not fully convinced that you're capable of changing at this point. It sounds more like he's given up. And also with that empathy, you also want to acknowledge how much he's tried, because it sounds like you're aware of it too, that he's been trying to push you into a better lifestyle. And so at this point, I would really focus your efforts on taking care of you, whether that be going to AA, finding community support, getting healthier, working on those issues as to what causes you to drink and what causes you to become angry and frustrated.
Yeah.
Those are really going to be more valuable than anything else. Is there a possibility for reconciliation? Yes. I think there was a deep attachment there.
7 years.
Yeah.
And he didn't do this because he wanted to.
Right.
He did it because he couldn't take it anymore. And he felt like she's not making these changes because she doesn't want to, and I'm just trying to force her to be somebody she's not.
Right.
And so I think he felt guilty. I think he felt bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to take a while for him to really be convinced that things can be different. And I don't say that to discourage you, but in fact, the opposite. I think it's completely possible. And I think if you are able to get to that point where you are feeling more emotionally stable, or you are healthier at a point where you're sober, it allows for more vulnerability and connection between the two of you.
Yeah, I think that he's got to really believe that she's made the changes because it's what she wanted, not to try and get him back or any kind of manipulation in that way, because I think that he'll see right through it and he'll be like, no, you're only doing this to try and get another chance, not because it's who you want to be.
Right.
He wants to see that you become proactive about your life in the way that he did. And the way he became focused on all the growth and the changes that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I do think that there is a lot of hope for you despite the grief that you must be going through right now after such a long relationship. But just remember that every investment in yourself is worth it. And I think the returns will be there over time.
Yeah.
Bigger picture, these are issues that you had to work on at some point. So I really do think that now is your opportunity to process all this, to work on all of it, and also have compassion for yourself. You know, he did care about you a lot. He probably still does care a lot about you and probably worries for you.
Yeah,
now it's time
so.
for you to worry about yourself and to really have that compassion that he has for you and show it to yourself.
I think if you can really stay positive, stop beating yourself up about what you did wrong, because that's going to be natural, but it's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
Focus on who you want to be and how you can blow this guy away. If he doesn't come back, that's on him. You can't force him. But you still got to work through these issues. And if you do all this work and he does come back and you can blow him away, I think it can spark things up naturally, because I think he has such a deep love for her.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How rare is it for the dumper to give a 6-page handwritten letter?
6 pages.
That
Wow.
almost never happens.
Yeah.
Right? So that tells me he really cares about her, and he felt like he had to do this more than he wanted to do this.
Right.
Now, I do think the spark and the chemistry with the sexual stuff needs to come back, and you have to go back more to like fun dating and the excitement that comes from that, as opposed to dealing with all these overwhelming emotional issues, because I think that would be feel like a huge weight.
Yeah. And alcohol does affect those things, affects your sex drive, affects the clarity of your thinking. And so I do think that you'll see a lot of changes if you start with working on your substance abuse first, and then working on those deeper issues as you continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he'd come back anytime soon. I don't think it would be, 4 or 5 months. I think it would probably sometime next year, after he's had a while, maybe he'll start adding you on Instagram or something like that, or commenting on stories to see how you're doing, and probably be curious about you. And when he does, you really want to blow this guy away. You can do it. And if he doesn't come back, then you blow away the next person that comes around, and you won't have to worry about making the same mistakes again.
Right. And it sounds like you're halfway there. You're realizing a lot of things that you haven't before. So don't ignore that. You're making progress already.
That's right. You're acting like an adult, and that's all we can do. is act like an adult, right? And be responsible for ourselves. Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you want to get our help personally, you can do it on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Of course, Coach Victoria is available.
I'm here to talk if you need.
Just click on her name at the top of the website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.